Hello, Gelato Familia. It's George, the Disney Italiano, coming to you with another episode here on Hello Gelato. Today, I got the one, the only, a very good friend of mine, the Disney dude, Drew, the Disney dude. How are you doing today, good sir?
Doing good, man. Great to talk to you. It's been a while. But
Yeah.
yeah, we just talked a little pre-show about how much is going on in the world of Disney. So then, hey, I guess there's always something to talk about. Not a bad thing by any means. So let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, sounds good. And before we get into it, if you want to let everyone know on Hello Gelato where they could find you on social media.
Yeah, you guys can find me everywhere. I've been doing a lot more recently. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, all the major platforms with the exception of Snapchat. I don't like Snapchat. So everywhere, I've been doing more. And again, like I said, there's so much going on. It gives us stuff to talk about. So might as well.
Absolutely. So the first topic I'm going to actually start with is a topic that I completely forgot to send to you for the potential topics, but this is something
Let's
that
do
I
it.
did want to talk about was the current situation of Galaxy's Edge
Yeah.
and the direction that they are moving forward with adding the original characters back into Galaxy's Edge, starting out with Disneyland. It always seems like they started out in Disneyland, but eventually I think it'll segue over to Walt Disney World. Yes, fingers crossed that. But just in general, the fact that Disney is even considering this route after the fans have been begging for this, for them to kind of get out of the one note kind of story uh scenario with the sequels and like just like mix it up of how they used to do with Star Wars weekends, and like all the characters just kind of were like intermixed. And then of course with Smuggler's Run coming out this upcoming summer for the
Yep.
to kind of cross promote and market with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Do you see that this is kind of Disney's like low key way of saying, "Hey, we kind of messed up in that sense, and we're trying like a better way to fix it because it's not how they expect." They probably expected Galaxy's Edge to be like this big major blowout,
Yep.
going up against Wizarding World, and I don't think they got the reception
Mhm.
that they wanted to. But what's your take on all that?
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I just think back to like when Galaxy's Edge was, before it opened to Disneyland, like all the reservations and like this whole like this whole system they made up because they were expecting so many people to come, and it never reached that level. Again, unfortunately, I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot because of that timeline, right? Like, I like the sequel films. Like, I'm so laid back, George. You know me. I just go with the flow, whatever. I just like to enjoy things. I don't mind it. I love Rise. Smuggler's Run's been okay, but like you mentioned, it's in a kind of be like a brand new ride beginning this May. Part of my issue with Galaxy's Edge has been like so many of the experiences are paid. Like if you want to build a lightsaber, it's another $250. You want to build a droid, it's another $125. All the snacks, the food, like don't think there's enough stuff included. Like yeah, the rides are fine, but if you're gonna build the first Star Wars land, like I don't love how much of a paid experience it is. But yeah, I do think they're kind of like living up to the yeah, our fans don't like this. Let's just give them what they want, even if it took like 7 years or whatever. Um, yeah, I think it's a good start. Like my hope is that they get this feedback, they see how it goes, and then depending on that internal feedback based on like the Disneyland locals, that depends on what we see happen at Walt Disney World. Like you said too, it's we're not getting it here first, obviously, which doesn't shock me, but I don't mind that because I think if they get that feedback at Disneyland, they can make it even better for Walt Disney World, and maybe even in the future drop in like a character like Yoda as like this walk around character like we're seeing with Olaf over in Paris and Hong Kong. I think there's a lot of potential to make it even better with more characters, more shows. Even like Galaxy's Edge has like those stages, like the platforms that were originally going to host live entertainment. We still don't have that. So I think there's another shoe to drop, another domino to fall. But yeah, to answer your question, I think they are finally realizing, yeah, our fans are kind of against this, or maybe they just needed a reason to get people into Disneyland in the summer. But I think it's a good mix of both, quite honestly.
Absolutely. Now, do you see Galaxy's Edge eventually getting an expansion?
Ooh, I would. I mean, I feel like there's been some theories about like a speeder bike coaster. Um, like the Bantha walk around thing got cut originally back in like 2019, 2018, whenever. So yeah, I could see it happening. I don't know where. Like being brutally honest here, I don't know like the exact space that they have at Disneyland and at Hollywood Studios. But my dream outcome would be like some speeder bike chase coaster where maybe we're going after some criminal or fugitive, and try and get credits for a bounty or something. But I feel like the coasters are just reliable ride systems. Like you don't have to worry about like downtime as much. There's no like groundbreaking research and development costs. You're just taking something that people love, taking a franchise people love, just implement it. Yeah, it's going to cost a couple $100 million, but it's not going to be 500 million like Cosmic Rewind with the rotating vehicles. Yeah, I think they'll do something with it. Maybe even bringing in that restaurant that was original, like the sit-down restaurant with like the music. I know they kind of did like a version of that on the Star Cruiser, but Star Cruiser's gone. So yeah, absolutely, why not? But yeah, I think it'll happen one day. I just don't know when.
Cool. And I am very happy too, along with them bringing the original characters into Galaxy's Edge, that they're adding the Star Wars score of the brilliant John Williams.
Yes.
Like to pipe it into the land. Because that was always my main concern with Galaxy's Edge. I always thought it of as a boiling pot of water with no meat and potatoes in it. It just felt like a very soulless land. And that's sad because aesthetically, it's a very breathtaking piece of land of how they it's sculpted and the architecture and everything, but they just need to fill in the gaps. So so yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a great start, and hopefully for more things to come. Now, kind of staying on the subject of outer space, another thing that I am looking forward to, which I'm very surprised because I really thought that this ride was literally on its way out on both coasts, a very outdated attraction, but is Buzz Lightyear. And I have seen the footage from WDI and everything that they're working on, and I have to say I am very excited to see Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin with the new vehicles and the new blasters and the new scenes, the new tech. I know you covered it, so far, like moving like from like point A to point B, but just your overall thoughts on the Buzz Lightyear revamp.
Yeah, quite honestly, I feel like this is the one thing that's somehow going under like the radar still, but I don't understand how with the things they've talked about. Like I've said it before, just on my channel and stuff, but I always laugh when Disney gives us so many great details, and like they'll give us these hints or one sentence here and there, or someone will say it at a presentation, and it like doesn't get talked about. I'm like, the news cycle moves so fast, and people always want something new to talk about. Yet the most important things somehow there's a disconnect still. But with Buzz, yeah, I'm so pumped. Like I'm more excited for Buzz than just about anything this year. Maybe with like the exception of the new animatronics coming to Rock and Roller Coaster and the Magic of Disney Animation. It's my top 3, or if not my top 1 as of right now, because it's happening very soon. But it's fantastic. Like it's just a bigger part of this transformation with Magic Kingdom 2. I feel like people aren't thinking about it that deeply either. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Cars Land, Villains Land. Like, but this is all a part of that transformation because it gets these attractions in their A game, their top tier form, before those areas open, so that when they open, the rest of the park's already kind of on the same level, if that makes sense. But yeah, the main thing I'm looking forward to are the new gameplay modes. Like no one's talking about the gameplay modes, but it's going to give you a unique experience. Before it was so easy to hit Galactic Hero if you knew where to shoot. The ride vehicles could stop from someone loading in a wheelchair or an ECV, and there was no challenge. But with this, you're going over 1 million points. We're going to have those gameplay modes. We don't have the details on them, but that's all I really need to hear, that we're going to have unique experiences. So I'm super pumped. I'm hoping it reopens like first week of April, if I had to guess. But yeah, as of now, just kind of waiting for that reopening date, maybe like a first look inside, even more than they've shown us. Maybe a new attraction poster, updates to the queue. I think there's still some dominoes to fall there, but it's going to be great. And like you said, I'm looking forward to it as well.
Nice. And that was going to be my next question. Like, where was your like headspace out of like the opening date? So you're thinking like the very beginning of April.
Yeah, I'm hoping first week of April. I looked back like at what Disney's previously done from like heads up to opening date. It's usually about 2 months. So I'm hoping we're like less than 2 weeks out from finding out. But at the same time, they always have plans that can shift. Like I know for a fact that the Tiana's Bayou Adventure opening date announcement got changed like 3 times. It was originally going to be Good Morning America, and then it got pushed back to American Idol. So like they might have issues that we don't know about, but I don't think they are. Because again, speaking of Good Morning America, they just shared that first look inside of Buzz, and there were like no scaffolding whatsoever. Like they were testing it. The ride vehicles had like the scoring updates. It was all done. There was no work left. So the test and adjust period, I'm assuming, is a big part of like making sure the scoring's working and all this stuff. But yeah, I don't see any reason for this to open after mid-April at the absolute latest. Like at that point, just hold it for summer, and we know they're not doing that. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. And what say you on Big Thunder? Because obviously, I believe that they just installed the final piece of track not too long ago, and I'm assuming did they start the vehicle test runs yet?
Yeah,
Um,
so unfortunately, like when Disney posted that story about the track, I think that was last summer, but they just posted it now for some reason. So I can pull up one of my tweets real quick. I remember I was at Magic Kingdom for Not So Scary one night, and they were testing. I was like, oh, holy crap. But yeah, I can find it. But I know they're testing with water dummies now, which is a very good sign for like the final stage. One sec. I'm sorry, guys. Bear with me here. I don't like looking at my phone when I'm doing these, but I want to find the exact date. Yeah, so on Halloween, I saw ride testing for the first time. And I think it was even happening before then, but because they were testing it at night, no one picked up on it. I was just right place, right time. But yeah, I'm expecting Big Thunder to open hopefully on the same day as Buzz. Like, just get that capacity boost. Magic Kingdom needs it. Having 2 attractions to advertise is better than 1, and I don't think Buzz is enough to get people to the park. Big Thunder is that classic that everyone loves. So I'm saying April, hopefully early April for both. We'll see. But
I,
that's where
I
my head's
agree with
at.
you. I think that would be very wise decision on Disney's part if they were to open both of them up on the same
Yeah,
day. Because essentially, as you had mentioned, like to add the crowd capacity, crowd control, and also there are 2 attractions that are on the opposite side of the park. So you can
yeah,
definitely get that guest flow moving from
great
Tomorrow
point.
and over to Frontierland. And
Agreed.
especially now, because even with all the construction that's going on with Magic Kingdom, with
Mm-hmm.
Piston Peak and Villains, I mean, yeah, they definitely need as much help as they could possibly have. Which now,
Yep.
speaking of that, how is the construction process going for that? Because I mean, it's after the fact they started clearing out the rivers of America and all that back area. That that parcel of land is massive,
It's crazy, George.
and
I cannot describe into words the scope of this project unless you're literally there in Magic Kingdom. Like just the other day, I was at Magic Kingdom for the first time this year because I hurt my foot. I couldn't walk, and I was like, all right, I've missed a lot. I'm gonna go walk back here. Um, I was like, wow, like because even since my last visit in late December, it even looked different compared to then. Like they've cleared a giant hill next to Haunted Mansion, and it's just even that hill, this little plot of hill, it's huge. And I'm assuming they're going to cut out all of that, make it flat, maybe push the queue back. This isn't confirmed, but I'm thinking they're going to push Haunted Mansion's queue backwards to allow for more of a walkway into Piston Peak, like make it easier to get into Piston Peak to encourage people to walk back to Villains Land, right? Trying to make it as easy as possible for the general family walking in to understand that there's a 12-acre Villains Land right around the corner. But yeah, even like they've pushed the construction walls out at Big Thunder even more. They're repaving the whole like entrance because they redid the land grading to accommodate cars next door. It's crazy. And like you said, they've even cleared more land now directly behind Small World and the Tangled Bathrooms and Haunted Mansion. And like you can see literally all the way back to where they launched the fireworks for Happily Ever After. It's just as far as the eye can see, it's just flat. And I know that when we see these things go vertical, hopefully later this year, it's going to be crazy to see because it's going vertical, but it's like acres back to where you can even walk right now. So it's insane. And like when you're in the hub by the partner statue, looking into Frontierland, Big Thunder's like wide open because there's no trees there anymore. It's just dirt. It's wild, but truly, I don't think people are going to realize how big it is until they're actually in the park itself.
yeah, I can't wait to actually visualize that for myself because the last time I
Yeah,
was
man.
on that Magic Kingdom, the Rivers of America was still there, the Liberty
Yep.
Bell was still there. So now to actually come and see walls up and just like acres of nothing,
Yeah, it
basically.
really is. It's insane. I think that's kind of like a, not to cut you off. I'm sorry I cut you off, but I think that's kind of like a testament to how big this park is because like it didn't feel that big on the Liberty Bell because you're moving slowly on this boat and there's a lot of trees around you. So like the only little pathway you see is the waterway, but now it's all going to be walkways, right? Like, yeah, Piston Peak is going to have a lot of trees and stuff, but it's going to feel more open. So where you can explore this area and find the waterfalls and the geysers and watch the attractions race around you. And I love Tom Sawyer Island and the Liberty Bell for its kinetic energy, but I'm starting to feel like the kinetic energy in these new areas is somehow going to exceed that because you actually get to walk through them. Whereas before, the Liberty Bell took you on the path, that was it. You were on that stretch. Tom Sawyer Island only had so many places you could go to. A lot of the trees were just there on the island. Here, you're really going to get to explore and kind of set your own path, discover these areas. And I think there's a lot of kineticism that we're going to see come with that. That's why I'm optimistic for this project, quite honestly, is just getting to walk around and walk in areas that we never got to walk before, quite honestly.
That is very true. Yeah, because when you are on the Liberty Bell, yeah, it's basically moving you through the
Yep.
land, where now that they have that all blocked out, they
It's
flatten
open.
the land.
Yep.
Yeah, you're walking in territory that we were never able to walk before.
Yeah.
On top of already expanding, as you had mentioned, the back part
Yeah.
by It's a Small World and the Tangled Bathroom. So that's all, again, uncharted territory that we weren't able to walk. And Magic
Yeah.
Kingdom's already big to begin with. So
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah. Imagine going from that new e-ticket in Villains Land behind Haunted Mansion all the way to Tron. Like that's a good 15, 20-minute walk. And those are two of the biggest rides in the park. But to your earlier point, that is a really good point. Like having your e-tickets kind of spread out throughout the park to where you have Tron, Mine Train, and then you kind of make your way. It's a great thing. So yeah, I feel like a lot of the planning here is really kind of balancing crowds. Villains is more ominous, adults, Cars is more kids, Fantasyland's more kids. It's interesting, but that's why I kind of like when people are so easy just to react to something. I don't like that because they've been planning this for so long, and we haven't even seen yet what's going to happen. Like we haven't even seen the final model for Cars and Villains, and it's going to be whenever they reveal the final model where you really see this whole layout and you're like, wow, like that's Magic Kingdom. That's going to be all over the internet. Like I think that's going to reach mainstream media far outside of our little community, honestly.
I agree. And I honestly made it a point as a role to myself is, give your overall thoughts and opinions
Yep.
on it, but never fully judge something completely until you actually physically go and experience it yourself. That's the only way you could actually give a full report on anything, really, not even just with Disney, just in general. But
I agree.
now I wanted to ask you too, because essentially they kind of titled this, like before we knew exactly what was going to go in those spaces, as the What's Beyond Big Thunder. Even though that they're not really titling that anymore because we basically is that essentially still part of the Beyond Big Thunder, or is there something else that could still be beyond the spires of Big Thunder?
Yeah, I think there was a plan shift. And what they were originally talking about was like the vision, like the early vision. What we're seeing now is not that. I think that originally they were like, let's go behind a Big Thunder on like the laydown yards that we've seen cleared right now. And then someone was like, well, it would be more cost effective to replace and then expand maybe a decade from now, And this is something where it's like, this is the one instance where I'm like, I don't like it, but I get it just because it's Magic Kingdom, Magic Kingdom 10 years from now is going to need another big expansion. Maybe even they're going to announce something for the 60th anniversary of Walt Disney World, start construction in 2031 and then open it in 2034, like 5 years after Villains opens. So unfortunately, it does make sense to get rid of Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America because that saves an additional 10 acres for down the road. But I think the plan did shift at some point because technically you're walking beyond Big Thunder to get to Villains Land. But Piston Peak is not beyond Big Thunder by any means, Whereas it seems like originally they were like, yeah, Coco's going to be kind of back here where you walk past and turn to the left. And I think it'll happen one day. I just think that they went the more cost-effective route, save that land so that your most profitable park can become even more profitable down the road. So that's
because I thought of that recently, and I'm like trying to put two and two together. I'm like, wait a minute, but like it doesn't geographically like add up. This isn't really beyond the Big Thunder. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think that was very smart for them to kind of utilize the footprints of already what's in the park, and eventually cost effective, and then essentially then they could go beyond Big Thunder, later on in years.
Exactly.
Now, kind of still staying on Magic Kingdom, that Disney has obviously announced the fact that we are getting the original true colors back of Cinderella Castle, which I'm very excited for. Not saying I didn't really like the color scheme that they did with the castle, but it's just I felt like it never really felt permanent to me, to be honest. It just felt like something that was due for like an event or a special occasion. So I am glad that Disney, for as minimum as people would think, oh, it's just a simple paint job, but the fact that Disney had put a lot of thought into that and to go back to the original colors, I can't wait to actually see it back in its original form.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like you said, it's so simple, but like the fact that it got the biggest reaction in Destination D, I think does speak volumes. But Yeah, like I don't know when this is going on YouTube, but like the work's going to begin like right as this is posted. So it's going to be interesting to kind of look back on this and see how quickly they do it. I think the biggest thing I'm kind of curious about is how fast is the work going to get done, because they're only painting the castle from like 8 to 9 a.m. to noon. So there's only like 3 hours of work every day, which isn't a long time to paint. That's a big, 180-foot tall castle. So I'm hoping it's by like October 1st, because that's the 55th anniversary of Walt Disney World. I think it could be sooner than that, but yeah, it's going to be fun. I actually like the castle colors a lot now, especially at night when the sun hits the pink. It really does pop and it feels very regal and elegant. I'm a big fan of them. I'm going to miss it. But yeah, I'm not going to also say no to the classic colors. It's not a bad thing by any means. I just don't really care that much. I don't care about the castle colors nearly as much as I do the ride updates. So whatever they do, if they painted the castle a completely different color that we've never seen before, like I don't know what they would do. But even if it was something different, I wouldn't care either. I'm easy. I'm easy going.
Yes, and I heard that they are also like pushing back the performances on the
Yeah.
castle stage show just to afternoon only, I believe.
Mhm. Yeah, it's gonna allow for that work, thankfully, with no interruptions. But it is interesting too, as we kind of go into summer, how the rain's more prominent. And it's like if you have like a week or two of painting sessions that are delayed because of the rain, you can't have light dripping on pink during the day. That's a little horrible. Like just this morning in Florida, it was pouring, and my first thought was like, wow, they couldn't be painting right now. So yeah, it's interesting. Like we might have the colors debut a couple weeks later, depending on how Mother Nature acts these next few months. But yeah, it's interesting too, and like how the projection colors have to be redone, because going from projections for Happily Ever After on pink to on white, they're having to adjust those behind the scenes. So it's a bigger project than people realize, but Disney doesn't really talk about those things.
That is very true. That is very true. Now, with the Carousel of Progress,
Yeah,
and just recently, celebrating its 51st anniversary,
yeah,
I believe that there's no word yet when that will be going down for the revamp, to add in the Walt Disney audio animatronic. But I'm assuming, because we only got the announcement when it was at Destination D23, but we haven't heard anything since. Do you see it? Do you think we'll get more info and news on that within this year for a closing date?
yeah. I would hope so. Like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, of course they'll announce details, and then I think like they announced It's Tough to Be a Bug was closing in September of 2023, and it didn't close till March of 2025. So it's like that's a long gap for a closure, right? Um, yeah, I'm hoping again, like 55th anniversary of Walt Disney World. I just feel like that's such a golden time to do like a marketing push for classic color, listening to the fans, legacy investment. Like that's just such an easy PR spin that they can do. So my hope is that Carousel of Progress closes in October or January of next year, like a year from now, because January is a very slow month for Walt Disney World after after marathon weekend. So maybe they announce some new details this October 1st, and then it closes after the holiday season. I feel like that might be the best scenario. But selfishly, I want it to close as soon as possible, because like this is like a massive update. It's like the entire ride, and I just don't have any motivation to go on it right now. Like I want to see these figures have the movement that they deserve. I want to see Walt, whatever else they're going to do. I'm ready for it. So yeah, I think it could close in 2027, but we're definitely going to get something this year. I would say.
And I was very ecstatic when they made that announcement, not just because of a Walt animatronic coming to Walt Disney World, and in a different format. He's going to have his blue sweater, probably discussing the plans of Walt Disney World and Epcot and what have you. But it's the fact of that the Carousel of Progress isn't going anywhere. That was my major concern. So the fact that they're putting money and revamping this classic attraction tells me, obviously, the Carousel of Progress is going to be here for a very long time. So that was always a good thing. Now, jumping over to Animal Kingdom for Tropical Americas, work on that, I've been trying to follow that myself, is like moving at like rapid pace. Like I think honestly faster than I've ever seen any kind of Disney project moving, of how fast they went vertical on that, and they're still moving on it. And also too, February 1st, I believe, will be the final day for Dinosaur, which will essentially close up all of Dino Land, for them to start on Indiana Jones and that section as well. But since you're down there and you get to see it, visually a lot, like in your take, like how do you see Tropical Americas forming, literally going from literally Dino Land to Tropical Americas?
Yeah, I think the to your point about Dino Lane closing, something that I haven't seen many people mention is that that's going to allow for work to move even quicker because right now the carousel is separated from the Encanto site because there's that walkway to and from Dinosaur and Restaurantosaurus. I'm sorry. Once Dino Lane closes, though, you can take down all the walls, rip out that little remaining stretch of pavement, and then literally it's just a massive construction site. You don't have to worry about guest flow or park ops. It's full steam ahead at that point. But yeah, like Encanto's construction has been incredible to witness because it took a while for it to go vertical from Dinorama closing in January of last year, a year ago, to the first beam on December 4th of last year. But since then, it's like, whoa, like the main back section of the building went up in like a month. And now they're starting to work on the actual entrance and the ending of the queue. So like the far left of the building is going to stretch out where the carnival games used to be, and that's where we're going to actually walk in. They're starting to work on that steel now. So it's almost like a 4-piece Lego set, like the back of the building, middle, front, and then the casita. But they're moving, so I'm excited for it. The carousel is nothing crazy by any means like that. That's not going to be a massive thing to follow, but it'll be fun to follow it because I can actually see into where they're building the carousel from the former Rivers of Light Theater if you walk up to the very top of the steps. So I have a little sneak peek at that whenever that thing gets moving. With Dinosaur, we can't really see anything until they share it because it's inside, unfortunately, with the exception of like the Mayan temple, which will be cool, but it's nothing crazy. But yeah, I feel like Encanto's building is like the big addition here, the big 80,000 square foot thing. I think Jack and DSNY was saying just the other day. But I'm just glad we're getting that Encanto ride here, selfishly, because I feel like this is going to be the most classic dark ride we've gotten from Imagineering, and as long as I can remember, this one's going to be a very good ride, and I think Indy has a ton of potential too. I've seen a lot of people talk about like Indiana Jones. How are you going to do that? Like less than 2 years. I'm like, well, it's a 3-minute ride. Tiana's took a while, but because it's 11 minutes long, it's a lot of work. But Indy, it's not. Like Dinosaur already has a lot of black spaces. It's a dark ride, so a lot of the theming they don't have to worry about because it's just a wall. You just rip out the wall and replace it with whatever you want. And those plans have been done since D23, so they just got to go. Like there's nothing stopping them at this point, except for the fact that it has not closed yet, but it's about to close.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I agree with you. I think Encanto had more of a challenge to kind of like work from literally the ground up. And I remember being out in the Imagineering Creative Campus out here in Glendale, and I got to see like the full scale model of it and everything. And if it is as accurate as that model of what the show building looks like attached to the house, I mean, that show building looks massive, even in the concept rendering. So I mean,
it's a big boy, and I love that there's like 3 stages of height because that back section means that we're gonna have some big show scenes. Like, yeah, Disney's not going to put in writing, well, the back half of the building allows for more space, but like it's there. Like you can't hide the design of your building, so it'll be really cool to ride it. But that's my number 1 ride. I'm super pumped for that one, and I'm just glad that's the first thing to open because yeah, everyone's like Villains Land, which I'm sure it'll be great. But for me personally, I'm much more a fan of these classic animation stories with the music and the environment, warm, welcoming. Anyone can go on it. That's the type of stuff I love personally.
Yeah. Is it bittersweet for you with Dinosaur?
I do love Dinosaur, but at the same time, I'm not finding myself being sad that it's closing because they announced it in 2022. Like mentally, I went through the stages of goodbye in like 2023, like 2 years ago. So I'm like, I'm sure I'll be sad, going on for the last time, and I might shed a tear too. But I feel like I was much more sad for everything else because the announcements were closer to their closing, whereas we've known since that Blue Sky, the infamous Blue Sky presentation, that Dinosaur was going at some point. So I think at this point, just knowing that Tropical Americas is like built on this idea of a region of the world, it just feels Disney. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but like something about the Tropical Americas just feels right. Like there's not anything about that project I dislike. Even like the carousel at nighttime is going to have like original renditions of Disney songs and its own lighting package, and the kids are going to love that. Like everything about this is going to get me into that land even more than it was. And I love Dino Land. I thought it was silly, the abstract random props throughout. I love Dino Land, but this is Disney. This is what the park needs to stay open until 8 and 9 p.m.
And I think tropical America is a great cohesive land that would
Yeah.
fit in with the rest of the park. Now, you had mentioned about it's tough to be a bug inside the Tree of Life, and I'm not 100% sure. You might have to refresh my memory. I don't know if I even asked your thought process on the Zootopia Better Together. What's your overall take on that from having a show that is more cohesive that would fit into the Tree of Life and of how the storyline they kind of projected it where you're going into the Tree of Life, but they're kind of like streaming you into Zootopia rather than actually be a part within in real time. Is Do you think that that was a right decision on Disney's choice to put Zootopia in the Tree of Life, or is it not your cup of tea?
Yeah, I don't mind the show. I think it's fine. Like a lot of people are just like bashing it, but I like the animatronic. I like the song at the end. The animation's beautiful, so like I don't mind it personally. But what I will say is, I think in the long run, it's going to come down to being a short-sighted decision because of the success of Zootopia. Like the amount of money that Zootopia 2 has made, I bet they're kind of like crap. Like we just opened this, and this is all we have now. Um, Part of me hopes that they'll close that show maybe sooner than later, and it might have a short run. Like it's not going to live on for decades. And they'll use the internal feedback ratings from that show for an actual Zootopia attraction somewhere. I think Hollywood Studios is the perfect spot for it. Just because they do anything at Hollywood Studios now. It's like once they change the story of Hollywood Studios to you're stepping into the movie, you can do anything. There's literally no strings attached there. It's a perfect little cop-out on Disney's end. Brilliant solution to get around the park story that originally was. But yeah, like I said, I don't mind the show. I just feel like a Zootopia show feels very temporary when clearly we're going to get a third Zootopia movie. That's going to obviously make $1 billion, even if it's 5 years from now. The Zootopia Land in Shanghai is a massive success. Nick and Judy have 2-hour-long waits every day recently. So I'm kind of like, I get it. The park needs capacity for a couple years, but in the long run, I don't think this is the answer. I don't think this is your optimal return.
Okay. That's interesting. And honestly, I could say that I could actually agree with you because I did spoil myself on watching it, before actually seeing it in person, which again, I do want to see it in person just to kind of get that feel. But yeah, it strikes me as more of something where Disney just uses like as a placeholder,
Yeah.
so to speak, until they figure out what they really want to do with it. And I agree with you with the massive success of Zootopia and the global phenomenon that the sequel made. I mean, it's like, literally, I mean, it surpassed Avengers Endgame numbers at this point globally. So, and again, as you mentioned too, with the meet and greets and everything, I do wish and hope that they bring Zootopia in some form on a much bigger scope at Walt Disney World and even out here at Disneyland. I think it can kind of even fit into, even though it's not California, but I even think Disney California Adventure at this point has really like lost that California identity, at this point. So I think it would fit in perfectly in both of those parks. Now, when you had mentioned of putting it in Hollywood Studios, now I'm not saying this more so because of the unforeseen accident that happened over at the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, which I'm very glad that actually that the stunt performer and cast member is okay from that. So, but can you, aside from that, can you see maybe like not right now, but like even like 15, 20 years down the road that area of the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular could eventually become something else?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's much sooner, within like a few years, quite honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if they take the Indiana Jones area, that backstage area, Backlot Express, and maybe even Star Tours and build a massive land there. I feel like nothing is safe anymore. I mean, we've seen Splash Mountain close, we've seen the River of America close, we're seeing Dinosaur close. Like these are beloved things, and they're gone. So yeah, I feel like there might already even be like a blue sky concept of like that little sliver of land from Star Tours to Backlot to Indy. Maybe keep Echo Lake and the like little retro buildings over there. Like what's the name? I forget the name of the restaurant, but like the vintage
50s prime time.
Yes, 50s prime time. Like I love that little section. I think you keep Echo Lake and Gertie, but then maybe transition into something bigger and better back there. I love that Indiana Jones has lived on this long, but I just don't see it lasting in this park much longer. And maybe that's the next shoe to drop, quite honestly. I would not be shocked. And I also feel like with all the updates coming to Smuggler's Run, that's like your new Star Tours. Like, it's going to be a lot easier to invest in a new mission on Unreal Engine 5 than it was going from 4 to 5 right now. So it's not going to take 6 and 7 years to update that ride again. It could maybe take a year at most. And again, Walt Disney World is a worldwide destination, whereas Disneyland is local. So don't think many Disney World visitors care about Star Tours. At Disneyland, it's a different story.
That's very true. I mean, you take out Star Tours along with the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt. You clear all that out and flatten it out like you're doing over
so much land. Yeah.
That's like a whole. That's basically like 1/4 of the park.
Yeah, right, they could probably go even further beyond Zootopia. Like maybe have half. Like I said, with Tropical America kind of being like this perfect blend, like of a multi-IP space. I personally love multi-IP lands. Like if you can figure out some story where you can give me multiple places in one, I'm cool with that. One of my hot takes is I would actually love to see a Simpsons dark ride at Hollywood Studios. I don't even watch The Simpsons, but I love The Simpsons humor and The Simpsons characters. And I think having like animatronics, I know that there's a lot more to that because Universal has their rights right now and the whole back and forth on that. I don't think it's going to happen, but if they put a Simpsons dark ride and you like walk in through their house as a queue, I think that'd be fun. But I know most people like, no.
I mean, Hollywood Studios would be the best park to do. So. Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think so many IPs that go into that part of the park.
Absolutely. And I think honestly too, I feel like if they were to do something with The Simpsons, especially since the sequel movie is going to be coming out, so I mean, depending on like how well that does, I could definitely see them doing it. I would want them to do an attraction. I wouldn't want them to repeat what Universal tried doing with an entire Simpsons land.
Yeah. I think The Incredibles too has a ton of potential for Hollywood. If it was up to me, I'd put Incredibles in Zootopia and Hollywood Studios by the time Incredibles 3 releases. I would do that if it were up to me.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is there an expansion pad behind Animation Courtyard that they could do something with?
I believe there is. Like right now it's backstage space, but like Disney's very good at adjusting that space. I think that they could figure out a way to connect Rock and Roller Coaster to Animation Courtyard, like long down the road if they wanted to. But something that I've always wanted for after the magic of Disney Animation opens is this was a rumor that popped up back in like 2020, but Disney was looking into like a black box dark ride to where it's easy to swap it out, kind of like Runaway Railway, but on a more temporary basis, and maybe have something back there to where you could put like any Disney animation movie in there on like a 6-month yearly basis, like just like a basic box, but it's some sort of ride where it's maybe promoting an animation movie or highlighting what they're focusing on in the animation building at the time. I just feel like there's a lot more potential to really lean into Disney animation to where it would make the magic of Disney animation permanent. Like attach an attraction to that experience and then you're set.
And that would fit really well in with the overall theming, like with where they're bringing back the animation building and what have you. So, I think that would honestly be a great way that it can kind of cross promote and market that if any new movies come out that are very popular, that Disney can, make something on a flip of a dime, and just take it out whenever they want to. Now, speaking of the Animation Courtyard too, I surmised when they announced that Bluey and Bingo was coming to the Disney parks and the Disney Cruise Line, which they actually premiered on the Disney Cruise Line much early than expected.
Yep.
I literally thought that they were going to go in that Animation Courtyard, with the Disney Junior and everything. And then they sprung on us that they were going to be meeting and greeting in Animal Kingdom. And kind of going back to what we were discussing with Zootopia, do you think that was a wise decision on Disney's part to put characters like Bluey and Bingo in a park of Animal Kingdom?
Yeah, this one I can understand simply from a guest flow perspective because no one goes on the train until Rafiki's playing a watch. And I feel like they were like, where can we fit them in? Even if it's a stretch, where can we get people back here just to, check out the train? Maybe even this was a park management decision to save the train. Maybe there's a plan on the table to rip out that entire section of the park. And management said, let's put Bluey and Bingo back here and prove that people get on the train to go back here. Maybe they're playing a chess move and we don't know it. I don't love it because I think they do fit perfectly, like you said, in Animation Courtyard. I thought that new Disney Junior show was going to be fully Bluey and Bingo, but I just think it comes back to get people back there. No one goes back there Animal Kingdom needs capacity as much as possible for the next probably 18 months. So let's toss them back there, and we'll figure out some story.
And
however it fits.
And I remember in 2020 or 2021, like everyone thought that Rafiki's Planet Watch was kaput.
Yeah.
Like that it was going to be. And I remember when Disney like officially said like, no, like it's not going anywhere right now. But I do wonder like down the road, and I know that they use it for like a lot of like the conservation and showcasing like the animals with, how they take care of them and what have you. And they could always do that on an off site facility because I mean, Animal Kingdom already is huge, and there's like surrounding land that is just like it's massive. But I do wonder if that will eventually go for future park expansion.
I would say inevitable, quite honestly, and they'll probably just build around because like you said, as you go on the train, you can see those backstage areas. But I think you can save those backstage spaces to where you don't have to relocate them and spend capital on that. But you could put something back there massive. I just hope they don't touch Kilimanjaro safaris. That's my only hope.
Oh yeah, they can't. Yeah, no, they can't do that.
But yeah, no, I wouldn't mind Rafiki's and the train going. Honestly, it's such a beautiful park already that like I feel like that's one of the places that you could get rid of, and you still have so much great. Like the Jungle Trek. Keep the Jungle Trek. Keep the safari. You have Pandora. Tropical Americas will be done by then. Give us something cool back there. I'm not gonna complain by any means.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll talk about like, I mean, you have to take a train literally from that part of the park. So if you clear all that, that's gonna be a massive hike within itself, of how much land that they could possibly utilize that for. Yeah. Now back at Hollywood Studios, have you been recently seeing the recent construction on Monstropolis?
I have. I was just there the other day, but like the unfortunate thing is that you really can't see any visible work right now because the former courtyard, it's like that's not going to take very long to redo that area. Like all of the money, it seems like right now is inside the Muppet Vision Theater and inside Pizza Rizzo. I think they tarped off those windows, so I think they're doing work there. But the Monsters coaster, like there's a lot of tractors and vehicles on that site, but they haven't put the track in yet. So once they start to put the track in, you'll be able to see it from the parking lot and the park, and that'll be easy to document, thankfully. But I'm not thinking that's going to happen until like Memorial Day, honestly.
Do you see an opening of Monstropolis around the time of Tropical Americas, or do you think a little bit later of like a 2028?
I do think it's possible. Now, this is one of the situations where I literally feel like there's only two possibilities here. It either opens with the Tropical Americas and they do a massive push saying like some sort of marketing line, Walt Disney World transformed, something. Or it opens in 2028 before Piston Peak, and then they push it again as the summer of Pixar. That was something that I actually give credit to Jack at DSMI Newscast for. He was like, well, maybe they open Monsters, Inc. before because it's a quicker project. It's just a reimagining of Muppets Courtyard. You throw up the coaster, and then obviously Piston Peak's an open after, just logically. But you could push Monsters, Inc. a second time in the marketing cycle with Cars for summer of 2028, hypothetically. So I'm thinking end of 2027 or spring of 2028. I don't see any other possibility here. And quite honestly, that's what we were going to see with Runaway Railway and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure originally. Runaway Railway was the March, and then Remy was going to be May. So like we have seen Disney parks do big openings back to back. I think that'll be Tropical America's, Monsters, and then honestly, Cars will probably be right after. We might have 3 in a row. I think Villains Land will be the one distant thing, like a year apart. If you were to ask me right now on January 26th, 2026, I'm saying Cars is summer of 2028, Villains is late summer of 2029. I'm thinking that. But okay. Yeah, it'll be fun. Like there's going to be 3 big openings probably within a year of each other, which is crazy. It's insane.
And I have a feeling too, like that's just going to go by so quick that I'm going to have you back on and we're going to have the discussion. And it's like, yeah, do you remember 3 years ago when you made the prediction? And it's like, yeah, Villains is open and Piston Peak's open, and it's just like, but yeah, I agree with you when you had mentioned before, like once Tropical Americas opens, that's just going to open the floodgates because it's literally going to be one after the other. And it's just, yeah, like the fact of how quickly that, and I have to give credit where credit's due, when Josh D'Amaro stood on that stage at D23 and he said, like, it is like, we're going to be moving. Dirt is moving.
Yeah, the famous line.
He wasn't kidding. I mean, they really started that very, very quickly. So I give kudos to him on that one.
Yeah, probably our future CEO, which we're about to find out too. We could even look back on this. Like, is Josh CEO?
Yeah. Well, and actually, I was going to ask you on that, because I mean, they said more so that it, I know Disney like is kind of like backtracking the statement that it's not going to be like officially next month. They just said like somewhere in 2026, early 2026, exactly. But I think like a big time, like investors and shareholders and Wall Street are like really looking at the fact that it's going to be next month.
Yeah.
Do you think that Josh is going to be the one?
I do. I don't see any other reality, quite honestly. And I think that a large part of why they want to do it next month, again, if these insider reports are correct, is that the shareholders meeting is in March. And I think they'll want to use the shareholders meeting as the first opportunity to have Josh and Bob Iger together on that video message they usually do. Like every year, we usually get those introductory remarks where they'll, thank the shareholders. And that'll be the video that kind of goes out where it's maybe announcing a new project, sharing an update on something at the parks, and it's always that person on screen. Recently, it's been Bob Iger because he's the CEO, but this will be his final as CEO. And what better way to say, I'm going to hand it over to Josh. That's your introduction. I think that's where we're headed. If we start to see, Josh, I remember last time the filming was caught in the parks. Like people saw them filming that. So if we start to see Josh doing some filming soon, that might be our little spoiler. But yeah, I just don't see any other outcome. Josh is so well put together. I don't agree with everything he's done by any means, but I'd much rather have someone leading the company that was born and grew up loving these parks, and his entire career is from the parks. Like he led Animal Kingdom at one point,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm 100% team Josh.
and honestly, I mean, let's face it, he knows how to work a crowd. He is a people person. He knows how to delegate. He's very good with that. So I think with the proper training and shadowing that I'm for sure he was probably doing with Iger, kind of like behind the scenes, I'm for sure that, again, there's going to be decisions that, we're not going to agree with of him. But I mean, like, that's with everybody,
Yeah, exactly. Even you and I would disagree on opinions, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes for great conversation too.
It does.
And but I do love how more recently Iger kind of pulled a Walt Disney where he's walking the grounds of where Abu Dhabi, the Disney park in Abu Dhabi is going to be. And I'm like, of course he had to throw that in because he's on his way out. So he had to cement his time to say, you know what? When Abu Dhabi opens, I'm not going to be CEO, but I just want to let you guys know.
Yeah, no, it is hilarious. I feel like every comment I'm seeing, like, he's trying to be Walt Disney. But I mean, I really can't blame him because this is going to be the best Disney park on the planet. Like, the money they're going to be, I feel like we're going to get some article next year. It's going to be like, Disney spending $12.7 billion on new theme park, breaks record, like some insane inside scoop. And you're going to have like animatronic Aladdin and Jasmine flying next to you on the ride. Like there's going to be some crazy shit here.
Of course, that's going to be the signature ride because like it literally like it was in the slogan and the tagline, it's a whole new world and it's, in the Middle East and what have you. I mean, it's definitely going to be an Aladdin attraction. I mean, Lord knows we don't get anything from the Renaissance out here. The Lion going in Paris, Beauty and the Beast is in Tokyo.
Yeah.
You might as well put Aladdin.
All we get is a Little Mermaid ride with figures that do this.
Yeah.
Which I do love that ride, but yeah, you can't compare them. You can't compare them.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm excited. Honestly, I'm excited to see a brand new park going into a part of the world that we never imagined that they would put in, and the fact that they are excited. Abu Dhabi is like willing to give out billions of dollars for Disney to kind of do their R&D and literally build whatever they want. I mean, if we thought Tokyo was like, I think that's going to give them a run for their money because I have also a feeling too Abu Dhabi is going to be like, oh, Tokyo's getting their own Disney cruise ship. Oh, we want one too.
Yeah, we want 3. Yeah. It's gonna be insane. Like the main thing I'm looking forward to is not only the park, but the current younger talent we have at Imagineering is going to be forced to learn on this park. So they're going to gain that wisdom also through the research and development, right? Like you said, those are just as important as the park itself.
Oh, absolutely. And I do hope, and I believe that they will, that they'll take those tools and what they learn and what they put into with Abu Dhabi, because essentially they're kind of doing it for free
Yeah.
because it's being funded by Abu Dhabi. That, eventually, to save money on cost cutting. Like, I'm okay with copycatting rides from the international to bring
Yeah.
them here.
Me
I'm
too.
fine with that.
Yeah, I will not complain if Disneyland gets Frozen Journey from Tokyo Disney Sea by any means, but we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be great. And honestly, speaking of Frozen, did it Frozen Ever After just
Yep.
recently closed on for its change, which I am so glad that we're getting the revamped audio animatronics.
About time.
I mean, I enjoy the ride. I really do. I mean, it's
I do
not
too.
like the biggest, most spectacular ride, but I feel like for what was in the space, which was Maelstrom, and how they kind of incorporated that kind of like small, tight knit
Yeah.
area and literally put a full fledged Frozen attraction in there, I thought was very, very clever. But I am glad that they're kind of going full circle with the audio animatronics.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, you said it best with the full circle because like we have the first Frozen ride. It only makes sense that we have the best figures too. But I am curious like how closely they're going to look to Hong Kong and Tokyo and Paris because like those ones were built from the ground up. Ours are being retrofit. But at the same time, I think that the base of the figure is the same. And I'm sure they're going to be rebuilding them as they're working on it, as we speak right now. So I just hope that there's lighting adjustments too, because the lighting on the figures looks a lot different on a digital face than a physical face. So I think that that's the other part of this update that no one's talking about is that they're going to have to update the actual show lighting so where it looks correct. Hong Kong's lighting looks different than Frozen that just closed. So I think it's going to be a lot better of an update than just animatronics because you can't have the same dim lighting on a physical face. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, that is very true. I think, they're going to have to like brighten up the surrounding lights around them because it's almost like the facial recognition was almost like a television screen.
Yeah.
So you could have it a little bit darker because the faces were more brighter. But when you're having more intact facial, you have to have more light.
And especially if they're going to spend the money on these faces, like you want to be able to see the details on these characters. Like I want to see their cheeks move and their eyes blink and their eyelash. And I know that's weird; they're freaking robots. But like, if they're going to spend the money on it, I want to see the details of these figures. That is the Disney difference. The main reason I love Monsters Unchained so much at Epic Universe is like they're there. Like those are the monsters. They look like they've been ripped out of the screen. So Disney's going to do that too. I want to be able to see them. I don't want that dark light environment.
I completely agree. Yeah, like I want to. Like damn it! Like show us the faces. Like I want to see it. Now,
someone's definitely judging us right now, but that's okay.
Of course, yeah, of course. I'm fine with that too. It's like, hey, I enjoy it. It's that's why we do what we do.
Heard out exactly.
Yeah. Now, how long do you expect this to be down? Because I don't think it would take that long. I mean, obviously there is a process, as you mentioned, like with the audio animatronics themselves, maybe changing the lighting package. But what would you say your like opening time frame would be?
I'm thinking President's Day, like before President's Day. I'm hoping it'll be like a 3-week update, and we'll see them back before the 3rd week of February is my hope. But again, I truly don't know. I just hope that it's. I mean, I want it sooner than possible, but it's only a month the most, so I'll take it.
All right, fair enough. Now, with the another topic I wanted to discuss with you on was the Muppets, because I feel like this is going to be the third attempt, the third or fourth attempt, that the Muppets will be revived. Not even just in the parks, like aside from the Muppets taking over Rock and Roller Coaster, but also the this new Muppet special that's going to be coming to Disney Plus with Seth Rogen and Sabrina Carpenter. I'm rooting for this. I really want this special to be a phenomenal hit because literally I do know that that's like their long-term goal is to start basically a revival of the Muppet Show and have a whole new generation of a series. And it brings the Muppets out from the ashes for how
Yep.
many times that, I mean, they've been on the struggle bus. Um,
I love how that's canon within the Muppets universe too. That they're always making fun of themselves. Like, yeah, we're back, we're rusty, and maybe this is just the start of us doing it again if it goes well. You know, like I love that the writers are playing into it because the writers are obviously Muppet fans. So yeah, I hope it does well too.
yeah, and then tying into the Muppets, taking over Rock and Roller Coaster and what have you. I do hope eventually that they can just turn that whole back area, just have it all just Muppets. Have maybe bring back Muppet Vision 3D over there to where the villains
Yeah.
show is now, and then you tie it into with Rock and Roller Coaster. Basically, that seems more of a courtyard to me than where it actually originally was.
Agreed. And I never liked the Stage One Company store. I felt it blocked the entire potential of that land. I'm glad it's been demolished for Monsteropolis, quite honestly. But to your point, I feel like a lot of people are talking about the whole like bring Muppet Vision back. Piping hot take here. I would rather have a new Muppet Show based on the Muppet Show revival if they do eventually replace the Disney Villain Show. Like I would rather have something brand new in that space and get people back there to the back of the park because the general family visiting is want to see a new show, rather than something that they probably saw before. But yeah, no, I think that's the perfect plan to make that Muppets Courtyard. Bring back the Muppet Mobile Lab, put the Miss Piggy fountain there again, retrofit it, but ain't no one going to complain if they retrofit that.
Oh yeah, and actually, I'll throw even a little more into that hot take because I loved Muppet Vision 3D. I did. I mean, it's classic. I'm glad that they are preserving it. However, they're going to showcase it. That it'll basically be immortal. But I will say that the 3D effect was very outdated.
It
Uh,
was. It
so
was.
so I can actually see how they could add in a more up to date version of the Muppets, so that way they can update the technology of the 3D effects and what have you.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like every time I was watching Muppets in its final months, I was like, Waldo just looks straight from the 80s. Like, it's just, I would much rather have new CGI, new effects, the 4K cameras now. Yeah, I respect it was Jim Henson's final project and it has that special lightning in a bottle energy to it, but I just don't mind the new Imagineers getting to play around with the Muppets. Like, I just want new stuff at the parks. I really don't care what it is. Like, if you told me 4 years ago that the number one ride I was going to be looking forward to was Encanto, I would have laughed. But like, it is now. Like I'm a big fan of when things come to the parks, and once they come to the parks, I'll become a fan of it. That's just how I am.
That is very true. Now with Rock and Roller Coaster changing from going from Aerosmith to the Muppets, we already see that they're already in the transition of like where they closed on the show scenes with Aerosmith, which I actually thought was very smart, that they could still have the ride operational to guests, but they can start changing things while it's still open. So that way it'll be a much faster transition from Aerosmith to the Muppets. I know I probably know this, but again, with all the news that's going on, it kind of like lost to the wayside. Do we have a confirmed closing date for Rock and Roller Coaster?
Yeah, March 1st is the last day. So exactly a month after Dinosaur, which is interesting. But those are the only two closures. So thankfully, we're knocking them out first quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, do you think that's going to be a long turnaround, or do you think that they would want to have it up before or around summertime?
I think it'll be late June. I just feel like that's their sweet spot. Like Tiana's like June 28th. Toy Story Land was June 30th. Whenever I think about summer at Walt Disney World, my mind always goes to late June. Test Track and Starlight were July, but those were kind of like an outlier. Like Starlight debuted later than they were expecting. Test Track debuted sooner than they were expecting. So my hope is that we have a late June opening and it's just a few months. Like I think that's more than fair. It's not a big budget project by any means. This is just like get the Muppets back into the park as quickly as we can type project.
Yeah, I can definitely see them. It's like, okay, yeah, we took Muppets out for how long? People are excited for Monsters Inc., but yeah, we got to get something back in.
Yeah.
With the Muppets. Do you see the villain show actually lasting longer than anticipated?
I don't think we lose that show until Villains Land opens or until I just can't see them closing it until Villains Land opens, quite honestly. And it's such a quick show. Like the amount of show times they do every day is so much that it just eats people up. Like the amount of people who can see that show in a day is so many that it is a win for the park. And I think even more people are going to want to see it because they're going to go on Rock and Roller Coaster and then realize it's there. So I think we have a stronger chance of Villains having a longer run than Zootopia, but I could be wrong on both of those. So
Okay. And kind of like everything that we've talked about in this conversation that is probably going to end up being brought up again at this year's upcoming D23.
I can't believe it's this year.
Yeah, literally. It's like, and we're probably, I'm going to guess maybe like a month out before knowing
Yeah.
the prices and the tiers for tickets, and then
Yep.
probably by March tickets will go on sale. That's going to be fun. That always PTSD. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I think I was shocked at how fast tickets sold out in 2024, and that was like no one knew the like logistics of the Honda Center. Now it's going to be like even more in demand. So I'm like, yikes.
Yeah.
But I love that it's a popular event because it's so much fun. But at the same time, it's like you shouldn't be stressed out to give the company like $500 either.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it's like I don't think I've ever had anything give me so much anxiety is like waiting for the clock to tick down, be on the website, have all your information ready, get in the queue, and watching that little damn man walking across the bar with the green bar. It's just like, oh gosh. And then they tell you for your like number 45,000, and I'm like, oh gosh, like this is not going my way.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Is how you can't even control your own destiny. You know, like it's not even first come first serve.
See, that's what I wish they would do. I wish it would be the first come first serve. It's like, but it's just like completely random. But in any case, for D23, do you? Obviously, I don't think we're going to get like the powerhouse announcements that we got at the last D23 because there really wasn't anything going on. There's so many projects that are moving around the world, not even just in the domestic parks, like with the Lion King in Paris, now with Abu Dhabi, a slew full of new cruise ships coming to DCL that I can't really see them right now making any more new major announcements. Maybe like fill in new announcements. But I'm more so thinking that these are going to be extended announcements on the projects they're already working on. Maybe like dates when things are going to be opened, names of the attractions, what kind of ride system it's going to be. That's my prediction for this year's D23. So I assume that you agree with that.
I do. Though I will say, this is my wild card prediction for D23. I think we're going to get one more shock announcement for Walt Disney World as the unofficial response to Epic Universe. That conversation has kind of died down, which I'm happy it has, because like Epic's just been an operational nightmare, which sucks because the park is beautiful when everything works, but it just does not work. That's why I don't believe they're selling annual passes, to hide the operational nightmare. But I think that Disney is going to be like, well, we've already got Villains Land. We've already got Piston Peak. We've already got Monstropolis and Tropical Americas, but why don't we add one more announcement? And then you just do something completely out of left field. I truly have no idea what it would be. I don't know if it'd be like a Magic Kingdom hotel or an expansion or replacement or reimagining. I don't know what it is, but I think just to really show how committed they are and try to win back that fan morale, because it's low right now. Like we've seen a lot of these closures, and those closures bring out the absolute most emotional responses from Disney fans, right? But what better way for Bob Iger to go out and for Josh D'Amaro to come in with a project out of left field that no one's expecting, you know? I think one thing for Walt Disney World, and the other thing I'm thinking is a second park in Shanghai for the 10th anniversary is what I'm thinking.
I agree with that. Yeah, because I mean, literally, they're on their 10-year, and I think even Iger kind of hinted, you know, more of like, you know, Shanghai is like booming from, you know,
it is
Disneyland. And what is it? I think it's the 5th most visited park in the world.
Yeah, and to your point, George, earlier I was saying how you like, well, they'll give us hints and no one talks about it. Like that's the perfect example. Like I'm so glad you mentioned that, because Bob Iger's like, that was, I don't remember where that came from, but I think he met with like the leader of China or some executive, and he was like, yeah, we can't wait to invest more here. I'm like, hello, like they're literally telling you they're about to build a second park. Like I don't think this fourth hotel announcement for Shanghai is a coincidence. It's just being announced backwards.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that is going to be a big announcement for
Yep,
D23. They're going to announce the second park for Shanghai. And again, we may get more news on Abu Dhabi. Uh,
that'd be cool.
again, more info on the Disney Cruise Line. Uh, the process of with the Lion King in Paris,
Yeah,
and how that's going. And then also too, I think to your point, I know there was a lot of rumors and talks, and I actually Jack even covered this on his channel that there was a potential talks of a Moana attraction utilizing kind of like the same kind of boat system, either that Shanghai uses for pirates, but also I believe Jack mentioned where they kind of showed. I think it was like a permit for a new ride system, but they showcased Moana and
I
Maui
remember that. Yeah,
on
it
the
was like her signature boat in the sail. Yep, yep, yep.
yeah. So I mean, I think if they were to announce something for Walt Disney World, because I actually thought Moana was going to be announced in 2024.
I did too.
So I could see them maybe going that route.
I would love that. I would love that. But I'm also part of me also wonders if it's going to be something that just like no one has on their bingo card. Like just something. I don't know what it could be.
Just like
But
with Carousel of Progress, like I
yeah,
didn't
that's a
think
good
that was
example.
going to be
Yeah,
even mentioned, let alone them
very good
putting
example.
a Walt Disney audio animatronic in there. That is like,
That's my hope because like I'm more than happy with what we're getting at Walt Disney World. I'm fully content with the four major projects in the works, like four of the top things that we could get IP wise. But yeah, I think they'll do something else just as like a kind of middle finger to Universal. Quite honestly, we'll see. We'll see. I could be far off.
yeah. But I agree with you, and I hope that they do that because I love that healthy competition back and
Yep.
forth kind of thing because it just fuels the fire. Because then Universal then will try to come up with a way to to answer to Disney,
Yep.
but it works for our benefit because it's
Yep.
like they're just making all this new stuff, and we're like, yeah,
Yeah, we're
fine.
just taking it in. I
and
agree.
and the one thing that I think is it's not far fetched, but I think right now I'm not holding my breath for how many times that we've been kind of let down by this. But with the state of Tomorrowland, I can kind of see them wanting to do something, but they had also mentioned like even when Chapek was CEO, it was presented by the Imagineers of ideas for Tomorrowland, and the higher executives just kind of shot it down and thought that it really wasn't beneficial. But the fact that Imagineers are like really trying to push for Tomorrowland to get some sort of TLC, I do have hope that there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel eventually for Tomorrowland.
I agree. I agree. Unfortunately, part of me feels like the things that they've wanted to do just haven't been the successes that they should have been or were hoping for. Like, I feel like at some point there's probably like, oh well, Lightyear will do well at the box office, and we can throw Lightyear into Tomorrowland. Fantastic Four will do well at the box office, and we could bring back the People Mover. And just neither like Fantastic Four. I love that movie. I did not like Lightyear. Like totally a different ball game in my opinion. But box office wise, Fantastic Four did not make the money I thought it was going to. And I love that movie. But yeah, it's I think it will happen. I think it will happen, especially if Josh becomes CEO because like he is. That's the parks guy, Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Like we know Figment's gonna happen. We know Tomorrowland's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, I do hope it happens. I just again, I've lost hope too on thinking, oh, it'll be this year. I'm just like, if it happens, I'll be like, oh, like finally, like yes.
And I think the way of how Josh thinks, just by kind of getting to know him throughout the years of being, the parks chairman, I have a feeling he like stuffed those in his back pocket that you had mentioned,
Yeah,
Figment and Tomorrowland, because what a way to start out as CEO by greenlighting that whoever then takes his position as chairman and says, yeah, come on, let's get like the Imagination Pavilion up and running. Let's do
yeah.
something with that Wonders of Life Pavilion. Let's get stuff done with Tomorrowland. I can definitely see him aiming for that radar and how it can literally project him into the CEO realm because essentially Iger did the same thing when he first became
Correct.
CEO with all those acquisitions, and people then started taking him serious, so I could definitely
Yep.
see Josh going that route, being that he was chairman of parks.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think also the fact that all the projects in development, he's not going to want those to have their budgets cut. Like he's going to push for them to cross the finish line in their highest quality because that's his legacy at the end of the day. Like the second Josh takes over at the beginning of 2027, that would be Tropical America's Cars. Like all of these things that he greenlit are then going to open under his watch at the top of the company, even higher up. So he doesn't have to worry about anything at that point. He has the force. He has the driving, guy behind these. So yeah, God willing, we don't have a major recession or anything else crazy. I'd have even more faith these projects really do deliver, and that we start to see more of these quality of life updates.
Absolutely. I completely 100% agree. Now, for the final topic
Yeah,
that I have for you, kind of
it's a fitting final topic.
yes, making kind of like a full circle, going back to the original park that basically started it all with Disneyland.
Yeah.
What is your overall thoughts on the new documentary by Leslie Iwerks, Disneyland Handcrafted? Because I had the opportunity to actually go to the global premiere of this up in Burbank, which I was not aware of, that like it was like the official red carpet premiere. And
Yeah.
I'm just like arriving and I'm seeing Josh Gad, I'm seeing Jeff Dunham with his wife, I'm seeing all the Imagineers and animators, and I'm like, what in the world did I just walk into? But what a way. First of all, I love Leslie Iwerks' work in general. The fact
Yeah.
that she came from the Iwerk dynasty of her father and her grandfather, her legendary grandfather, that actually knew Walt personally and worked with him for so many years, and created all these fascinating things from a technological standpoint through everything. I just love her way of directing these documentaries and how personal it gets, but taking footage that literally were just, and I hate using this term, but I'm just going to say it, like they were scraps in a sense, and filming and putting together this beautiful kind of homage memoir to not even just Walt Disney, not just to Disneyland, but the Imagineers, the animators, the architectures, the workers, the
Yeah.
construction people, like the painters, that literally of what it took to build Disneyland in a year. And to just, I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was genius. It's something that I've never seen before. And see, I'm rambling on, and I want to get your thought process on it. So
Yeah, no, I fully agree, and it's like I know everyone's like Disneyland was built in less than a year. It was built in like that everyone's talking about that, but it's insane to think about it. Like Dinoland's closure started a year ago. Imagine if the Tropical Americas was already open now. Like, I can't even begin to process that in my head right now. Let alone in 1955, an entire park that was the first of its kind. Like it was a transformational moment, not only for Walt and his dream, but like America. It changed our country. Like, think about how many families have visited Disneyland over the last 70 years and how many memories are created as a result. It's like, it's so surreal. But when I was watching it, I was just like, this footage exists. Like, it's cool to have archival footage or find lost media that you didn't know was out there. But it's even different when it's freaking Disneyland. And like you said, like the people who were building this park, like what if their relatives and descendants see them working on that park for the first time ever? Like that's grandpa or that's grandma at Disneyland. Like it's just the coolest thing. I love my favorite part though was the first clip of the Mark Twain and the Disneyland Railroad going around the park for the first time. That was just like the most
I think
beautiful
honestly,
clip.
a lot of people resonated with those scenes because it became like so personal for them. But it's very true. I mean, these were the people that were behind the scenes. They were behind the
Yeah.
camera. And it's like a lot of times we don't really give those people the credit that they deserve. So I'm glad that Leslie was able to showcase them in a way of, all their hard work and determination and tenacity and ingenuity and all those, all those technological words. But
Yeah.
I even find it fascinating that they were still working on the park when it opened. Like
Yeah.
they had like television cameras all over the place. They had wires everywhere. They're filming, and like there's people that are still painting, and it's just like you would never get that today. I could imagine like a group of OSHA people sitting there watching this documentary with their clipboard saying like, "Oh man, this would have been shut down like nobody's business." But the fact that they were able to get away and do what they did, and it's still becoming the success of what Disneyland is today, uh, kudos to them.
Yeah, and the fact that everything is still standing,
Yeah,
even though these people had no experience and only 10% of the park's plans were done when they broke ground, it's still standing. So, holy crap.
that is very true. That is very true. I mean, like, to go into Disneyland today and to then go back and watch that documentary, it's like, yeah, this was the genesis of where it all
Yeah.
began, and I'm standing in it today, and yeah, like everything is still standing.
Yeah, like that's the same castle that you're seeing like these guys like riding up on these ropes with like a cigar. It's like, what? Like at the beginning of the thing, it's like, yeah, the park opens in 5 months and Sleeping Beauty Castle is like 5 wooden frames. And the next shot it's just, I was like, wow, like what?
And the footage of the like literally of the guys that they're not using cherry picks, they're not using
Nothing.
like they're literally climbing up these
Yeah.
things with their bare hands and they're sliding down. I'm like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
and I love like Walt's quote, like he said like something to along the lines of like, we didn't have too many close calls.
Yeah, and then the tractor's falling over on his side.
Yeah.
Again, like it's just as incredible that someone was filming it as the fact that it happened. The fact that they were thinking that far ahead in 1955 to document something that they didn't even know would be a success, it's like, that's what blows my mind, that he was so far ahead of his time that he was like, yeah, this is worth documenting. Like, who thinks of that?
Exactly. And a big shout out to Skywalker Sound.
Yes.
For literally putting basically all of the sound to all these moving pictures because back in the day there was nothing there. So the fact that they timed it and matched it perfectly.
And it sounds like it's real too. Like at no point during that hour and 20 minutes does your brain say that's not real. I didn't even think about it, quite honestly.
I didn't either.
It feels real.
Yeah, honestly, if Leslie didn't mention it, I
agree.
I would have never thought.
Yep, 100% agreed.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a beautiful film.
Absolutely. And Drew, I want to thank you so much for coming on here for your first time debut on Holo Gelato, and hopefully will not be the last. I would love to have you back on for many more of our long, in-depth conversations of the parks and the direction that they're going in. But I think that we both can agree to the fact of that Disney is now moving in a direction that I'm very happy and very satisfied of where it's going.
Yeah, we're going to have a thing here, like we've talked about many times before, but there's always going to be things that we don't like. But I'd rather have an overall direction that I'm happy with and this quality of project that I think we're headed in, far better than what we've had, at least from Tiana's Bayou Adventure, for example, is the first one that comes to mind, as it's been a nightmare, and I don't like to talk about it anymore. But yeah, I think we're getting away from that, and we have the right leaders, and maybe even a new leader soon that we have had grow and build his career in these parks. So yeah, like you said, it'll be really fun to look back on these conversations, as where we are now in our lives, and then be like, oh, that's what happened, or this didn't happen. I always love doing that.
Yeah, I do too. It's almost like our own personal time capsule.
Yes. It's literally, this is our documentation. While hired his park, we're doing Zoom interviews in nice air conditioned rooms.
Exactly. Very true. And if you would like to remind the viewers where they could find you on social media.
Yeah, you guys can find me everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, every major platform I'm posting on now. There was a time where I'd say I'm on this platform, but I was kind of like AFK, like away from it. Like when you play video games, the thing that everyone says they're away from their keyboard. I was away from the platforms, but not anymore. Full steam ahead, just like Disney. So if you follow me somewhere, you will see posts from me.
Absolutely. Sounds good. And everyone, as you know, I'm George, the Disney Italiano. And as I always say, in Disney Italiano fashion, stay safe, stay healthy, stay Disney. Italiano out.